This is a sample of the information provided as part of the flexible training resources available through HACCP.com. Our training courses are designed to provide training participants with an understanding of food safety and quality system elements and also offer user-friendly assessment activities and competency checklists to complete the training cycle. Food fraud risk management. Key definitions for food fraud risk management. Critical control point or CCP. A critical control point is a point, step or procedure at which controls can be applied and a food safety hazard can be prevented, eliminated or reduced to acceptable levels. In the context of VASUP, a CCP may also be referred to as a VCP or vulnerability control point. Critical limit. A critical limit is a criterion or boundary that is used to distinguish between what is acceptable or safe, and what is unacceptable or unsafe. A critical limit is a measurable value of a parameter or a variable. Economically motivated adulteration or EMA. Economically motivated adulteration is a food fraud risk generally facilitated from within the food sector itself, with the intent of increasing profits or lowering production cost. Food fraud risk management. Food fraud risk management covers the methodologies applied to identify risk to food from acts of unsafe modifications or intentional adulteration. Food fraud, defined by the deliberate and intentional adulteration or modification of food, its ingredients or packaging, product information, labeling, or misleading statements made about a food product for economic gain that could also negatively affect consumer health. HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point or HACCP as it is commonly known, is a science-based risk management system, relying on identification and recognition of specific hazards, and nominates measures for their control to ensure the safety of food. VASUP, Vulnerability Assessment and Critical Control Point System or VASUP is the application of the risk assessment methodologies for the identification of risk and control measures to prevent food fraud. This system helps identify the vulnerability of various points in the supply chain, particularly due to the possible threat of economically motivated adulteration. Food fraud risk management development. When considering the development, documentation and implementation of food fraud risk management within food safety and quality management systems, the following information should be considered to ensure effective outcomes. About food fraud risk management. Food fraud is economically motivated adulteration. About VASUP. VASUP prerequisite programs. About food fraud risk management. Food fraud risk management is by no means a new concept. It has been applied in many different incarnations over time. The term food fraud risk management is used to describe the various methodologies implemented to ensure the food provided to consumers is wholesome, genuine and not unnecessarily tampered with. Food fraud is economically motivated adulteration. Economically motivated adulteration is a food fraud risk generally facilitated from within the food sector itself, with the intent of increasing profits or lowering cost. This can be done either by intentionally manipulating monetary outcomes of which an otherwise inexpensive material is sold for a higher price or perhaps where an instance where an inexpensive ingredient is used to extend or replace the more expensive one. The primary goal of EMA is to gain financial advantage from selling food products in a way which deceives both customers and consumers, but sometimes it may cause human harm or even death. About VASUP. Vulnerability Assessment Critical Control Point or VASUP is the systemic management of risk through evaluation of different kinds of vulnerabilities throughout the food supply chain. A vulnerability is a status or scenario that can lead to a food fraud incident. The following steps are often applied as part of the VASUP methodology as based upon the HACCP methodology. VASUP prerequisite programs. The application of VASUP into food production requires that prerequisite programs for its implementation be documented and applied before the introduction of VASUP plans into the process. VASUP support plans are those that control the status and application of related business activities, often including procurement, approved supplier management and production operations. When implementing a VASUP as part of a food safety and quality program, the primary step is to assess pre-existing programs as to their adequacy and conformance to requirements, and their documented monitoring effectiveness. These support programs form the basis on which VASUP is integrated, and their adequacy will provide success to the system. If the support programs are not controlled as required, the VASUP control measures may not be effective. The importance of such programs cannot be overlooked in the scheme of VASUP planning and implementation, as they provide intrinsic support to all facets of the food safety management system. VASUP scope and purpose. A documented scope and purpose for the VASUP plan is necessary to ensure all required products, processes are covered by the associated documentation and management systems. The scope of the VASUP plan should define the major process steps which are intended to be covered by the extent of the VASUP plan. The purpose of the VASUP plan should define the intent of the VASUP plan regarding the identification and control of hazards. Some VASUP purposes may require a mention of specified hazards or hazard types, especially where high-risk products are concerned. The HACCP scope and purpose statement is often used to cover VASUP-related risk to avoid unnecessary duplication. Developing the VASUP team. The first step in the integration of VASUP into a food safety and quality system is to nominate the team that will oversee the implementation. It is of great importance to include as much knowledge and skill as possible in the team, while also including senior management. The size and scope of the VASUP team will depend on the specific food industry sectors involved and classes of hazards to be addressed of the food business to which the VASUP system is being applied, as well as internal members. External sources, such as those with relevant experience and/or specialist training, can be of great benefit to providing relevance in VASUP implementation. Overall, the team should be efficient, appropriate, and well-informed in its addressing of all the relevant aspects of VASUP. The composition of the VASUP requirements that will be addressed by the VASUP team will need to be suitable and appropriate to include operational aspects of the food business, and display confidence in accounting for technologies, equipment and expertise used in processing. The specific knowledge and skills of the individuals in the VASUP team should allow this, providing the composition of the team is adequate. Senior management should assure that the appropriate product-specific knowledge and expertise is available for the development of an effective VASUP plan. Optimally, this may be accomplished by assembling a multidisciplinary team. Where such expertise is not available on-site, expert advice should be obtained from other sources. The scope of the VASUP plan should be identified. The scope should describe which segment of the food chain is involved and the general classes of vulnerabilities to be addressed. Teamwork will be the foundation on which any successful food safety and quality program is based. A designated VASUP team, which is made up of both management and other staff, are required to ensure the food safety program policies and procedures are continuously improved. Whilst the program must be managed in its entirety, special emphasis must be put on assurance that the nominated vulnerability control points are monitored and maintained as per the specifications of the program. The HACCP team is often used as the VASUP team to avoid unnecessary duplication. Product description. The second step in VASUP implementation involves consideration of the food products that are being produced or handled by the food business. Where a service is being provided rather than a product, a similar method can be applied. The information gathered will assist in the identification of vulnerabilities that may be present in either ingredients or materials used in the processing of food. This step should also include references to appropriate legislative and industry guidelines, or scientific validations regarding the documented product description and intended use. Generic product descriptions may be developed for product groups rather than each individual line where applicable. The HACCP product description documentation is often used to avoid unnecessary duplication. Identify the intended usage. Production process flow diagram. The next step is to construct a production process flow diagram using the information gathered above, in conjunction with operational knowledge of the process systems. The production process flow diagram must identify every step that is used to produce the product through the process, from receipt of materials and ingredients to service of the consumer. The diagram need not be complex in its compilation but must involve all processing steps from beginning to end. To assess the validity of the flow diagram, it is advantageous to closely follow the process from start to finish by physically following the process. Products may be grouped in the process flow diagram if they are nominated as being suitable to include. The HACCP production process flow diagram is often used to avoid unnecessary duplication. Confirmation of the production process flow diagram. The production process flow diagram must be validated against on-site observation of production during all stages and hours of operation. The preconceived flow diagram must be altered if required for its validation into the food safety system. Reconfirmation of the process flow diagram must be undertaken annually as a minimum or at any time where processes, products or inputs change. The HACCP production process flow diagram confirmation is often used to avoid unnecessary duplication. Conduct a vulnerability assessment and consider any measures to control identified vulnerabilities. All food fraud vulnerabilities that may reasonably be expected to occur at each step from primary production, processing, and distribution until the point of consumption. Identified vulnerabilities must then be analyzed as to their potential and significance. This process should also include emerging issues, which may not be historically evident within a particular process or product, but which may be of concern regarding the product description and intended use. The vulnerability assessment should consider the following where applicable: black market items, counterfeiting, dilution, economically motivated adulteration, mislabeling, substitution. Did you know that HACCP.com includes resources that allow you to create, manage and implement GFSI and HACCP-based food safety and quality programs? Improve your food safety and quality skills and knowledge? Train and develop your team to create better food safety and quality outcomes? Find suppliers and service providers to partner with your business. The information and training resources available through HACCP.com include a variety of formats, such as website content, MP4, MP4 and text, MP3, PDF and slideshow. Are you ready to take the next step in your food compliance journey? Visit HACCP.com today to create your profile and access the full versions of our food safety and quality information packages and much more.